Thank you, Janice.
And Steve, I did give you a half hour.
Okay.
So you take your half hour and we'll cut our business short, okay?
If anybody needs to get up and leave at any time, feel free to do so. You're not going to insult me. If anybody needs to go to the restroom or something like that, I don't know if you want to give everybody a break. You want me to just go ahead and start talking. Everybody okay? Okay, we'll keep going for it then. First thing I'm going to do is give a disclaimer. I'm not wearing a uniform tonight, so the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks does not support my attitudes, my opinions, or what I'm going to say tonight. I'm here as a private citizen.
Yes.
Okay. I've met some of you before. I've had my class out there. It's an impromptu ad hoc class. We don't really provide pistol shooting classes or anything like that. We're not staffed for it. When Marge came to me and basically told me that her son over in Afghanistan told her to get a gun and somebody to teach her how to shoot. When she came out there and asked me that, how could I say no? Since that time, she's introduced me to several people. All of you know Cheryl, Janice, Sandra, and Noreen. Oh, see, there she is, Noreen. I've had the pleasure of getting to know these ladies and interact with them on a weekly basis, and really it's made a better person out of me. And they rubbed off on me quite a bit. I hope I haven't rubbed off on them very much at all. But I received much more from them than they've ever received from me, and I appreciate that, ladies. And I thank you for inviting me here tonight. I'm a very blunt and honest man. I know Clyde Morgan back there, and we're probably cut from the same cloth there. Clyde's pretty blunt and honest too. So what we're going to tell you is going to be the truth, the way we see it. We won't sugarcoat it to you. We're going to tell it to you straight up and down. That's the way I was raised. That's the way Clyde is right now, and the way I'll be, and both of us will be to the day we die. It's interesting standing up here and speaking to you, particularly Clyde, because he's like one of my mentors. When I was growing up there and went to college, Noble Lee was like my best buddy. He's still my best buddy in the world, and he idolized Clyde Morgan. The first thing he told me about Clyde Morgan, he said, Reno, he's my hero. He said he was going to Mississippi College, and correct me when I'm wrong here, Clyde, because I'll probably get some of these things wrong, but this is what Noble told me. He said, Noble said he was going to Mississippi College and majoring in religion, was going to be a preacher. And he felt the call to go to Vietnam. Clyde was a company commander in Vietnam, a decorated company commander in Vietnam. And I tell you what, I salute him and what he's done and the man he is today. Again, I apologize to you in advance because I'm going to be really direct. I'm going to ask you a few questions. I'm going to challenge you about how you think. I'm going to hit on some legal and moral things, but I'm not a legal authority, nor am I a moral authority. So if there's any clergy here tonight, I'm going to turn to you. Somebody that's a clergy out here, raise your hand, I'm going to turn to you. And if there's any legal authorities out there, any legal questions I want you to address. I'll tell you how I think about them, and I'll tell you what I feel about them, and I'll tell you what I would do under the circumstances. And it's probably not too smart for me to do that, but I'm going to do so anyway. But just remember, I'm Steve Moore, representing Steve Moore and Steve Moore only in this case. George Washington said firearms are second only to the Constitution in importance. They are the people's liberty's teeth. You think about that. Second only to the Constitution in importance. Liberty's teeth. So the next thing I'm going to ask you is, are you willing, as individuals, to protect yourself and your loved ones, your family? Are you willing? Yes. Is there anybody in here not willing to do that? Okay. What tool or tools do you have to do that? Now seriously, ask yourself that. I hope everybody has those tools. Number one, are you willing? Is anybody not willing? Okay. Now, do you have those tools? Now, when I say tools, what do I mean? Firearms, guns, knives, okay? What do you think the bad guys are going to have when they come in there for a home invasion? What do you think the mugger's going to have when he meets you out there in the parking lot under that street lamp that got knocked out by him probably a few minutes earlier? What are you going to use? How many years ago did they invent firearms? I mean, you think about what people did before firearms came along. You were at the mercy of someone who was bigger and stronger than you, or had a weapon. But as soon as they invented firearms, or at least something we could carry around on our person, and we'll defer to Samuel Colt there, Colonel Colt, when he built a revolver, something small enough that we could carry on our person and defend ourselves, we could take on the biggest guy in the entire world. If Goliath was still alive, and if David hadn't killed him, Marge could kill him. Matter of fact, Marge would, and she has a capability. I know I can attest to it. Marge's pretty good. She walked out there on the first day, and I thought, well, let's see what Marge can do. She pulls out this Sig Sauer, and Clyde, I said, you got to come out and see her shoot. She just flat blew me away. Not but I mean, the capabilities that she had showing up, and since then she's been honing them and impressing me as have these other ladies. You've got your tools, or do you have your tools? Okay. Do you have a gun? Have you ever received any training to use that weapon? Anybody got a hammer in the house? Does everybody have a hammer? How many could use that to build a house? How many would try to build a house other than people? You see what I'm saying here? You're going to need training to use that hammer, right? What'd you do when you bought your gun? Got some ammo for it? Did you go out and shoot it? How many times did you shoot it? Okay. What'd you do with it then? How often did you practice with it? Have you ever thought about when you're going to have to use it? Middle of the night. Did you practice using it in the middle of the night? What are you going to use to illuminate the target? Are you going to illuminate the target? When I say illuminate, shine a light on it. You hear that bump in the night. You hear the glass crash. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. You get your trusty gun. Next thing you see is a shot. You going to take a shot at it? If so, can you see his sights? You just going to point at something, plug it? Who is it? Is it your son coming in? Coming in late, lost his key, decided he was going to bust a window. He was just going to knock a little crack in it. Maybe he was just trying to raise it. My little brother came in one night. He was just trying to raise the window. Then when he did it, the window broke. Okay, you see what I'm talking about? Paint yourself in the corner. Do you have that firearm? Where do you keep that firearm? Do you have children in the house? Okay, well, where do you keep your firearm? I talked about Noble, my buddy, and I'm not going to pick on him, but we got some buddies down in hunting camp. And one up to him, he said, Reno, the other day, you were talking about home defense and stuff like that. He said, I want y'all to talk to us a little bit more about home defense. And I said, why? He said, well, I'm an arms collector, and I probably have over 100 weapons inside my house. But he says, I went outside the other night to take the dog out to urinate, and he said, I was in my pajamas. And he said, I just walked out there, and he says, I opened up the French door, went out on the porch, and he says, little poodle went out there and started doing his business. And he said, I looked around, and he says, there was a guy standing 3 feet from me looking right at me. And he says, and I said, well, what'd you do? And he said, well, I decided I was going to urinate too, just like you. So I said, what'd you do after that? And he said, well, I just stood there. Okay. If there's any policemen or law enforcement people in here, Clyde will tell you this. What do most people say after they've been mugged, or after they've been broken into, or had some kind of shootout, or had some kind of crime, committed against them, particularly a physical crime, or something of that nature? 90% of the people, if not 99%, will say, I did not think it would happen to me. Okay? I didn't think it happened in this neighborhood. I didn't think it would happen in this county, this state, this city, whatever you insert yourself into that. And you say, well, I'd never say something like that. Well, how prepared are you for that to happen? Have you made that decision in your mind that you would defend yourself, your home, your property, your loved ones, okay, and use deadly force to do so? Okay? Have you really pre-thought that? Or do we just go through life thinking, it's not going to happen to me, number one. And if it does, the cops will come and they will take care of it. The police will stand between me and the bad guy, between good and evil, the thin blue line. And I love cops, and I have a great deal of respect for them. Okay, some better than others, but I still, what they do and the service they give to our communities and our nation as a whole is very admirable, and I salute them. If we have any policemen here, I salute you. They do a great job, law enforcement officers do. But they will tell you, okay, and here's the legal scholars, and you need to tell me, when can they come out to a call? Okay? After a crime is committed, before a crime is committed, you think about that. So, Marge, when somebody knocks that door in, okay, Clyde, when somebody breaks that window and comes into your house, or my buddy when he's out letting the dog water the grass, okay, who's going to come between them and the bad guy? He doesn't have time. Okay? Do you have a cell phone in your hand? Even if you did, you think he's going to respond to that quicker than that bad guy's going to do you in? I don't think so. Personal liberties. With liberties and with rights come responsibilities. We as individuals have responsibilities. You're exercising those rights and responsibilities, or you would not be here tonight. Okay? Collectively and individually, we need to exercise those rights and responsibilities. Okay? Only the gun. Guns scare people. That's good. They should scare you. They can hurt you. Okay? So what do you need to do? You need to educate yourself about the guns. You don't have to know everything about every gun that was ever invented. Clyde probably does. I'll probably come in a close second to it. We like guns. Okay? We have an affinity for them. Okay? Part of it's just the way God put us together, our DNA. But maybe you're afraid of a gun. You don't want to touch one. Okay? You think they're too loud. The noise scares you. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? Acquaint yourself with a firearm. Get somebody who's an expert like Clyde, or someone who can teach you. Take a firearm that would fit you, that would work for you, something that you could use. Okay? Look at you and say, well, I think it would fit this, but only you can really decide what firearm works best for you, the size and shape. Someone like Clyde can help you with the type of action, what kind of grip to have on it, what size caliber you can actually use according to your abilities or inabilities. Those are the things you need to do, but you really do need to seek out protection. Personal protection, protection for you and your loved ones. Why? The way you need to cover that. We live in perilous times. We really do. I don't care where you live. I don't care if you live in a gated community, behind a fortress wall. We live in perilous times. They never made a wall that somebody couldn't climb. They never made a fence that somebody couldn't dig under, jump over, or blow through it. Okay? You think about that. How protected are you tonight? Have you got a deadbolt on your door? Okay? Do you have a window to your house? I don't care if you weld yourself in at night. If you've got glass, small enough or big enough, that I can crawl through, okay, I can get into your house. One of the things Clyde and I learned in the military is, how to be subversive. How to crawl into places you're not supposed to be, and how to attack the enemy where he least expects it. Okay? Do you think the enemy's always going to come through your front door? Okay? If you're going to break into somebody's house, where would you go? Have you ever looked at your house that way? Have you gone outside your house and you said, you know what, if I'm going to break into this house, how would I do it? Okay? That's a good way to start right then. Sometimes I like to tell people it's not really a matter if it's going to happen to you, but for most of us in this room, it's when it's going to happen to you. If I can do anything tonight, one of the things I want you to do is think. And if you think that you've got a force shield around you, that God put around you, that nothing bad can happen to you, you need to read the Bible and go talk to your preacher. Because God didn't give any of us those force shields. Okay? It can happen to you. And for most of us in here, it will happen to you sooner or later if it has not already. And I know some of you in here, it has happened to you. So what are you going to do? Have you made your mind up you're going to defend yourself and your family? What are you going to use to do this? Can you do it day and night? Are you going to think about those projectiles and who lives on the other side of that wall? Okay? Have you got children in that house? Are you going to shoot that guy straight up and down? I'm going to plug him right here. Or you do something Clyde and I think about doing, get down on one knee. Why would you do that? Because then you got the path of that projectile that's going to pass through his body and it's going to wind up high in that ceiling, okay, or high on the wall. But that child sleeping in that bed next door is not going to be hurt. Tactics. It's not about movies. It's not just about SWAT teams. It's not just about police. We all need to think about that. Training. Home defense. We're talking about home defense mainly now. We're kings of our castles. What about your vehicle when you're traveling? You take something in. When you're out on the road, and I told my niece this, "Oh, Steve, I don't believe in guns. I'm not going to carry a gun." I'm like, that's fine. What's going to happen to you when you're driving to college and your car breaks down? Cars break down. Anything known to be made by man can be fatal. So what's she going to do? Well, I've got my telephone. I'm going to dial 911. Well, how long is it going to take for the police to get there? Depends on how far out you are. Depends on where you are. Well, I'll lock my doors. I'll roll up the windows. Okay. You've got a little tool in your car to break that window. Don't you think the bad guy's going to have the tool too? Well, I don't know. Okay, now you're being honest with me, you don't know. You haven't thought about it. You haven't come to reality yet. 3 weeks after that, a horrible thing happened. But it ended well, and it was good for my niece, and she finally let me teach her how to use a firearm. My aunt was driving down the road, and she was coming from her home in Tyler, Texas, and she was coming over to see her mother. She broke down about, I'd say, 30 miles outside of Newton. She was driving to Newton, that's why she knew she was 30 miles outside of Newton. Broke down on the side of the road, decided to call somebody, tried to call her son. Man, guess where she was? No cell phone service for the telephone she was using. Couldn't dial 911, couldn't call anybody, and you can probably guess the rest of the story. About 5 minutes later, here comes this white car driving up behind them. 5 guys get out of the car. Oh no, yeah. And Mary Ann sitting in there thinking, Lord, please take care of her. She was seeing all kinds of bad things happen. They got up on the car, started saying things, exposed themselves, started rocking the car, and a concerned motorist with a firearm stopped. Yeah, okay. Bad guy said they're going to leave. When he stopped. When he got out, opened up his door and pointed his firearm at them. And they decided, you know what, we'll go pick on somebody else. Today is not our day. They're still out there, folks. Okay? They're still out there, and they're looking for victims. And if you think these drug addicts, and you tell us how many is out there on the street, they're all over the place. Okay? They don't really know what they're doing. They've lost the ability to think when they get on this stuff. Okay? They're looking for money. They're looking for things that they want to do. They have no restraints on them. One of the things we talk about in the class is that of the 3 things I teach them gun handling. Glad's with me on this. That's one of the things we're going to teach you. We're going to teach you how to safely handle that gun. Okay, and that's what you need to learn how to do. The gun you carry, maybe not every gun known to mankind, but once you select your firearm, how do I operate that thing safely? How does it work? Can I take it apart? Can I put it back together? Can I clean the firearm? Can I keep it in shape to be used? Okay, those are the things I need to know. I need to know how to operate that thing, how to maintain it, how to keep it going. Then I need to know how to learn how to shoot it and hit something, marksmanship. So we're talking gun handling, safely handling this firearm so it won't hurt us or someone we do not intend to perforate. Okay? Obviously with the firearm we intend to perforate somebody. He's going to be the bad guy coming through the door. The guy trying to mug you as you come out of that work late at night or McDonald's or whatever restaurant you went into. Okay? We talk about those things. We talk about, again, the marksmanship, the ability to hit, and the gun handling, the ability to be safe and to handle that gun properly and put that round on target. But the most important thing we talk about is something they call mindset. Glad to tell you, it's like, and you've seen in some of the movies or you've read books about it, man does not fight so much with weapons as he does with his mind. Okay? Weapons are tools, things we put in our hands. Okay? But you fight with your mind. We're not psychopaths. A psychopath is out there outside that door waiting for you, outside that window to your house, wanting to come in and whether he wants to rob, rape, pillage, whatever he wants to do or just kill. He's already made that decision that he's going to kill you or do whatever he's going to do. Let's say we're talking about murder. He's made that decision, I'm going to kill you. Okay? You're inside your house, and let's say you're just watching television with the kids. The world is your oyster. Okay? He comes through there, and the first thing you're going to do is go, oh, maybe say something associated with it. But your mind is going to freeze. Okay? But you're not going to say, I know where that gun is, jump over like Mighty Mouse, grab that thing and do, battle with him right there. You're not. If you had one right there beside you, you can do like my buddy that watered the grass. Okay? All the guns he had inside the house, okay, over 100. How many were loaded? 0. Where was the ammo? Didn't even have any. Why? Got kids, Reno. Got kids, man. They'd load that gun, they'd shoot somebody. Okay? Well, lock them up then, knucklehead. Oh, if you will, Cheryl, show that little case there. This is what I use, and I'm not trying to sell this. I should have taped over probably the brand name. But it's like, this is a wonderful little invention. Okay? A little small, very safe you can carry with you. When the kids are in the house, put your firearm there. When you hear that bad guy come through the door, it's real quick. They even make them little biometric things. All you have to do is roll your fingerprint over it, they'll pop open. You reach in there and grab your gun. You don't have to keep your gun unloaded. You don't have to keep it locked in the closet and your ammunition locked somewhere else. You don't have to put it in the attic. I hear all kinds of things. Clyde, he could back me up with story after story until we were here 24 hours later tomorrow night talking. Those are things that happen. Use some common sense, folks. Use some common sense. We're talking about going against psychologically. I'll make it quick, and then I'll take some questions from the floor. You have to make that transition from what we call condition white. Colonel Jeff Cooper, one of my mentors and a guy that I dearly loved, he made it his life's work to teach people how to use firearms and employ good people to use firearms and employ them correctly. Love the Colonel. Clyde, you probably met him sometime in your life there. A real gentleman and a real dedicated man, dedicated to liberty and life and the pursuit of happiness, all those good things, all of the above. He came up with a color code system. The color code is white, yellow, orange, and red. And basically what he's talking about is a psychological progression. Not so much your actions, but what your mind is doing. If that guy came through that door right now, and if we had a gun up here, it would take most of us a little bit of time to go, oh, and then again, insert whatever expletive you want to. And then we'd have to think about, is he really going to do that? If he's really doing that, and then you're going to think about, what am I going to do? By that time, whatever he wants to do, he's probably done, and it is way too late. On the other hand, if, like Colonel Cooper says, the only time you should be in condition white, or that situational unawareness, is in your home with the door locked and a gun beside you. We have to be more alert. We have to be in what he termed condition yellow. And that's more or less a state of awareness, paying attention to what's going on. And you say, okay, I generally pay attention to what's going on. Okay, when you get up in the morning and you have your breakfast and you get ready to leave the house, what are you thinking about? Word, anything, indigestion from that fried bacon my wife makes. You know, whatever it is, those are the things on your mind. But usually it's what you're going to do, what you have to do today. Man, I'm late. Where's that cup of coffee? Man, I wish I'd put sugar instead of Splenda in that stuff. All these things you're thinking about, but what you're not thinking about is I'm about to enter that outside world, and what's outside that door. Okay, last thing you're thinking about, you know, do you look in the back, see that car before you get in and drive to work? You know, situational awareness. Okay. Then all of a sudden you see somebody standing out there beside that car with a machete in his hand. Brakes come on. Okay, now I'm in condition white. Again, I've got to make those mental transitions. Even if you have a gun, how quickly are you going to react? And that's what the Colonel was talking about. Every day we get out of the house, we need to have some situational awareness. And if we see something that's not supposed to be part of this picture, then we switch to part. Okay, he's the problem. Okay, I'm looking around and he's the only one that looks like he's not supposed to be here. Okay, from that point, then my mind makes that little mental transition on the part where I'm ready to go at it with him. Whether it's with my fist, my gun, my car, which is nothing but a 4,000-pound bullet, if you really think about it. Okay, remember, that's a good weapon. Use it if you have to. Those are the things we talk about when we're out there training, and those are the things I want y'all to talk about and think about amongst yourselves too. There's lots of training you get out there. I highly recommend Clyde Morgan. Admire him as a man of character, good moral fiber. His whole life is about been doing good, fighting evil. Okay? There's a lot of people like Clyde out there. There's people that can instruct you, and I will recommend Clyde and people like him. Okay? Unfortunately, we don't provide a lot of that out there where I am. We're staffed with 2 people to run a range complex that has 9 ranges on it. Okay? 2 people. Okay, we'll try to help you as much as we can, but unfortunately, they haven't hired anybody to go out there and get handgun instruction, personal defense instruction, anything along those lines. We provide a recreational place for people to shoot. I would love to see each and every one of y'all out there, and I'll do everything I can to help you. But as far as the individual teaching mandate, that falls on the private citizens, of which I'm so happy to say that Clyde can do it because I know he's capable of doing that. There are a lot of people that aren't. There are a lot of people that take your money. Okay? There are a lot of schools and organizations that will. The only one I would ever recommend in my entire life is a place out in Arizona called Gunsight. And I'm sure there's others that are pretty good. But other than Gunsight, maybe Thunder Ranch up in Oregon, I wouldn't send part of my family out there until I checked it out. Schools cost money. Instructions cost money. Okay, guys, you know, don't expect somebody to do something for you for nothing. I mean, they're going to cost money, and they're going to cost something even more important. Your time and your effort. When your children got old enough to drive a car, what'd you do? Buy them a Ferrari and throw them a set of keys, say, okay, kid, get out on the interstate, kid, burn some rubber, see how fast you can go. Okay, did you do that? Why do you expect to buy a gun, shoot it 5 times, put it in a drawer, lock it away, and think you're ready for when evil comes through that door? You're not gonna be ready. You're gonna sit there like my buddy did when he was out there watering the grass late at night. He's gonna say, oh, okay, and then he's gonna water it a little bit more. The sad thing about my buddy is he still doesn't have a loaded gun in his house. I've tried to convince him. I've tried to talk hard to him. I've tried to give him example after example after example. I even made him a member of the NRA so he'd get that magazine and he'd have to read about our response when a citizen's been attacked, you know. I even sent him one copy and I highlighted something that was very close to, his response. But I cannot get through to him. If I got through to one person tonight, you'll make my night. Ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all for having me here. If you have any questions.
What's the Mississippi law?
Yeah, Castle Doctrine. Talk a little bit. A lot of people think you got to have a carry permit to have a weapon.
I'm going to defer to Clyde on that one. He actually teaches the enhanced
Except we
carry.
have an attorney in here,
Do we have an attorney in here?
or police.
Police officer. I know we have a law enforcement officer.
Retired.
Retired?
Yeah, I was sorry also.
I don't think anybody's going to stick
Patriot,
their,
California.
yeah. I don't think anybody's going to stick their neck out on unless Clyde and I do.
Bottom line is, you don't have to have a permit to carry a gun.
No, sir, but I would advise you to get the permit.
Well, I've got one, but I just thought I'd
Yes,
try
sir.
it out.
May I address that?
Yes, sir.
In Mississippi is a gun-friendly state.
Right.
So in Mississippi, by the way, what's the only state in the nation that has no concealed carry whatsoever? There's only one state. Okay. Not Washington, D.C.
New York.
Not Alaska, not New York. Illinois. Can you imagine, Illinois? Mississippi is a gun-friendly state. You may have on or about your person a concealed weapon in your home, in your car, in your place of business without a permit. In your home, in your car, in your place of business, the business you own, not where you work. Or any real property like your farm. Without a permit, you step out of your car, you gas up, and you're toting, you're carrying, you violate state law. So you get a concealed carry permit. Then that allows you to carry in a bunch of places. But still, there's some you still can't carry. And there's some you can't carry ever. And one is federal buildings, one is police stations, sheriff's offices, corrections facilities, jails, places of nuisance. That's a little murky there, where drugs are sold or you go on assignations. That's where the lawyer comes in. But with the new enhanced concealed carry permit, you can carry in 5 additional places. The normal restaurants and the shopping centers and whatever, but 5 additional places. Courthouses, schools, churches, bars, and polling places. Let me quickly go over those. Courthouses, but not courtrooms in session. The judge rules that. Courthouses, schools, you may carry as a citizen, but the student may not, nor the faculty, based on policy of the school. But you and I, we go to a parent-teacher, yes. We go to a ball game, yes. Yeah, that starts to get a little bit murky. And most of us feel uncomfortable with that. All right, school, courthouses, schools, churches, yes. Bars. I tell my students, if you carry a gun into a bar, you're certifiably insane. But the reason that's in the law, as I understand it, is that in the past, in Mississippi, you couldn't carry a gun where alcohol was served. So now that clears that up. Is it a bar? Is it a restaurant? We don't have to worry about it. My wife and I go out. We don't have to discern that. So courthouses, schools, churches, bars, and public places. I'm not an attorney, but that's what we teach. And I have a printout, a synopsis of all Mississippi laws that we give to our students. Does that answer your questions, most of you?